everyone, welcome back to Marvellous Maths. Now today I'm in my apron because I'm going to be doing some Easter baking today, but the problem is I'm not very good at baking, so I'm going to be needing your help to help me weigh out the right amount of each of the ingredients so that I can make Easter brownie bites. Now for you guys to be on top form to help me with my baking, we're going to warm up our maths brains by doing our 5-day questions. So remember, just pause the video after I've read each question to give yourself some time to work out the answer, and then just press play again and we'll go through how to answer it. So, question 1. 7 add 6. Okay, get ready for the answer. We should have got 13. So put the first number, which is 7, in your head, second number, which is 6, on your fingers, and we count forwards from 7 until we reach our answer. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and we get to 13. So well done. Question 2. 8 add 5 add 2. Pause the video here and we will go through the answer now. Okay, so 8 add 5 add 2 equals 15. So same as before, we put the first number, which is 8, in our head and put 5 on our fingers, and we count forwards 5 from 8. Ready? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And now we've still got 2 to add. So keep 13 in your head and now put 2 on your fingers, and we'll count forward 2 from 13. So 13, 14, 15, and we get to 15. Question 3. 42 take away 8. Okay, we'll go through the answer now. 42 take away 8 equals 34. Now, 42 goes in our head, same as before. 8 goes on our fingers, and this time, because we're taking away, we are going to count backwards. So 8 on our fingers, 42 in your head, and let's count backwards from 42. 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, and we get to 34. Okay, next question. 60 add 50. Okay, get ready to go through the answer, or pause if you need some more time. 60 add 50 equals 110. So if you remember from last time, because these are both multiples of 10, they're both in the 10 times tables, we can count in our tens to get our answer, because it would take us a long time to count in ones until we get to 50. So it's much easier for us to count in tens. And this time we are going to be counting in 5 tens. If we put our columns back there that we're familiar with, we can see that there are 5 tens in 50. So we need to put 5 on our fingers and count forward 5 tens from 60. So put 60 in your head, and we're going to count forward 5 tens. So 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. And the answer is 110. Okay, last question. Half of 8. What is half of 8? Okay, let's go through the answer. So half of 8 equals 4. And you'll remember from last time there are 2 ways that we can do this. The first one is this. So this is the ladybird method. And because we are working out half, we know that we are dividing by 2. Because our bottom number in our fraction half is 2. So we need 2 sections to our ladybird. Okay, and the number that we are sharing between our 2 parts is 8, because we're finding what half of 8 is. So here you can see that I've shared 8 dots between 2 sections, and in one section I have got 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. So my answer is 4. Now the other way we can do this is use our 2 times tables, and we can count in our 2's until we get to 8. Okay, so you're going to need your fingers for this. We're going to count in our 2's together until we reach 8 and see how many times we counted in our 2's until we got to 8. So, ready to count in your 2's? 2, 4, 6, 8. And you can see I've got 4 on my fingers, so that must mean the answer is 4. Well done everyone for completing your 5 a day. Now you should be nice and warmed up for us to start our lesson now. Now as I mentioned before, you guys are going to be helping me today with weighing out the right amount of my ingredients so that I can make my brownies. So today's lesson is going to be all about weight and reading scales accurately. Now before we get started on that, the first thing I want you to do is go and find 5 objects from around your house, and I want you to put them in order from the lightest to the heaviest object. Now I'm going to go and do the same. I'm going to go and find 5 objects and order them from the lightest to the heaviest, and then we'll come back together and we'll share our items. Ready? Go! So these are the items that I have found, and I've put them in order from the lightest over here to the heaviest over here. So we've got a rubber band, an empty water bottle, a tangerine, my favourite mug, and a pineapple. So this is the order that I have put them in, and I'm going to explain why I put them in that order in a moment. Okay, so hopefully you have found your 5 items and you've put them in order from the lightest to the heaviest. So I'm just going to share a few of my items with you. Now the lightest item that I found was this tiny blue rubber band. Now obviously it's very small, very flimsy, and we know that it's really, really light. I can hardly feel it at all in my hand, so that's definitely the lightest object. Now these 2 were slightly more difficult. The water bottle is obviously much bigger than the tangerine, but if I hold them in my hands and sort of feel the weight of them like this, I can feel that the orange is actually heavier than the empty water bottle. Okay, so that proves that it's not always the bigger objects that are heavier. It can sometimes be smaller objects that have more weight. Okay, so my next 2 objects were my favourite mug and the pineapple. Fun fact, Mrs D from school actually bought me this mug, so thank you Mrs D, it's my favourite mug. So the pineapple in this case is actually bigger than the mug, and because it's got lots of fruit inside it, it is much, much heavier than my empty mug. So pause the video here and just take a few moments to explain to your grown-up and talk them through your light objects through to your heavy objects, and just explain how you could tell which ones were lighter and which ones were heavier, just like I did then. So now we know that weight means how heavy or light something is, but I can't just feel out each of my ingredients to see how heavy or light they are. I need an accurate way to measure the weight of each of my ingredients. So which of these units do we use to measure weight? Is it A, centimetres, B, millilitres, C, grams, or D, kilometres? Pause the video just to have a think. Okay, so the answer is, of course, grams. Grams is the unit that we use to measure weight. Okay, my next question is how many grams are there in a kilogram? So we can use grams and kilograms. Grams is smaller than a kilogram. How many grams are there in a kilogram? Are there 10, 100 or 1000? Well done, there are 1000 grams in a kilogram. Here's a list of the ingredients that I'm going to need to make my Easter brownie bites. So I'm going to need milk chocolate chips, dark chocolate, brown sugar, butter, self-raising flour, cocoa powder, and I'm also going to need 3 eggs, but I don't need to weigh those out. So the ingredients here at the top are the ones that I'm going to need to weigh out accurately, and that's where your help comes in. So I'm going to show you some different scales, and you're going to help me to read how many grams each of the scales shows, so that then I can then put the right amount of that ingredient into my bowl. So the first ingredient that I need to weigh out is my milk chocolate chips. So have a look at that scale. How many grams of chocolate chips do I need to weigh out to put into my bowl? Pause the video if you need some time. Okay, so we can see from the scale that I need 100 grams of chocolate chips. Okay, because we can see that this thick line here that the arrow is pointing directly to is labelled with 100 grams. So that's a nice easy one to start us off with. Okay, so we can see very clearly 100 grams of chocolate chips. Okay, so now that you've helped me to read that scale accurately, I can now go and put my chocolate chips into my bowl. The next ingredient that I need to weigh out is my dark chocolate. So have a look at this scale now. Pause the video if you need to. How many grams of dark chocolate do I need? Okay, well done if you recognise that I need 150 grams of dark chocolate. Now this one was a little bit trickier because the 150, the number, isn't labelled on my scales. But I can tell that because the arrow is pointing directly in between, halfway between 100 grams and 200 grams, I know that that's 150 grams. Okay, another way that I can tell that it's 150 grams is each of these small lines on the scale is going up by 10 each time. So if we count together, round from 100, we're going to count in tens. Okay, so from 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150. If we keep going, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200. So you can see that each of these small lines that goes all the way around is going up by 10 each time. The next thing I need is butter. So can you tell me how many grams of butter do I need? Pause the video to give yourself some time to look at the scale properly. And remember that it goes round in tens each time. Okay, get ready to go through the answer or pause it if you need some more time. So I need 170 grams of butter. So I can either go from my 100, okay, that's my nearest big number over here, and I can count round in tens, or I can look at this slightly smaller thick line here that I know from before means 150 because it's exactly halfway between 100 and 200. Okay, so I could go from there knowing that's 150, so well done if you use that method. I could go 150, 160, 170, okay, or I could be on the safe side and go from 100 and count round in my tens. So 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170. So either one of those methods still gets me the right answer. It's whichever one you found easiest. So well done for helping me to read that that was 170 grams. So I can now go and weigh out my butter and put that in my bowl. The next ingredient I need is brown sugar. So have a look at this scale now. How much brown sugar do I need? How many grams do I need? When you're having a look at the scale, remember that each of the small lines going round on the scale goes up by 10 each time. Okay, get ready to go through the answer. So I need 240 grams of brown sugar. Well done if you worked that one out. So you can see from the 200 here, that's my nearest big number, I can count in tens until I get round to my arrow. So counting in tens from 200 this time. Ready? 200, 210, 220, 230, 240. Okay? Well done. Now I can go out and weigh out my brown sugar and put it in my bowl. The next thing I need in my bowl is self-raising flour. So have a look at that scale and tell your grown-up how many grams of self-raising flour I need. Remember to pause the video to give yourself some time if you need it. Okay, if you're ready, we're going to go through the answer now. So I need 80 grams of self-raising flour. Okay, so again, I could either go from my 0 and count round in tens from there, or I could go from the halfway point, which we know here is 50, because it's exactly halfway between 0 and 100, okay? So I could do that. I could go 50, 60, 70, 80, okay? Or you can go from 0 and count round in your tens from 0. So 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay, so well done if you used either of those methods. So now I know that I need 80 grams of self-raising flour. I can now go and weigh that out. So the final ingredient I need to weigh out accurately is my cocoa powder. So have a look at this final scale and tell your grown-up how many grams of cocoa powder I need. And pause the video to give yourself some time. Okay, let's have a look. So I need 60 grams of cocoa powder. Okay, so I could either go from my 0 and count round in my tens. Get ready? From 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and the arrow is pointing at 60. So I could either do that, or if we remember that this thick line, the slightly shorter thick line, means 50 because it's halfway between 0 and 100, I could just look at that and know that it's one more, or 110 more than 50. So I could go 50, 60, and know that it's 60. Okay, so well done if you got that one right. I'm going to now go and weigh out my cocoa powder. Okay, so if weighing out each of those ingredients wasn't quite enough for you and you would like a little bit of an extra challenge, particularly you year 2s, you might enjoy this. I'm going to give you a chance now to pause the video on this screen and have a look at these 3 scales and work out how many grams each of these scales is showing. Now I'm going to give you a little hint. Each of these small lines that go round on these scales are not going up in tens. They're going up in something else, but I'm going to leave that to you to work out. Okay, so if you'd like to do this extra challenge, just pause the video here and have a go. So if you were doing that extra challenge, here are your answers. So the first one was 360 grams, second one 720 grams, and the last one 860 grams. So to do this, you needed to work out that each of the small lines were going round in jumps of 20. rather than 10. So well done if you had a go at that. Thank you so much for joining me for today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to go and enjoy my brownie bites now. I wish I could share them with you. I wish I could pass them through the camera to you, but unfortunately I can't. But what you can do is perhaps make some of your own. There's so many different baking recipes online, so maybe you could find one for you and your family to do, and you could practice your weighing skills and do some baking of your own. Keep your eyes peeled this week for the next lesson with Miss Quimby. Keep working hard, stay safe, and I'll see you again very soon for some more Marvellous Maths. Bye everyone.